Hey again YouTube. Today I'm going to be fiddling around with a bit of a new old toy, a Roland Sound Canvas SC-55 mkII MIDI sound generator. There are a few versions of the sound canvas out there, so be aware that if you're looking for one for gaming, be sure it has the General MIDI logo on the front. This one has the mark, so it supports General MIDI, in addition to Roland's GS MIDI, and a crude imitation of the Roland MT32. The unit might look a little intimidating with its array of buttons, but there are only a few things you'll need to be concerned with if you want to use it for gaming, and if you're connecting it with a standard MIDI cable. I won't be covering the computer interface connection because I don't have a compatible cable for this thing. If your unit didn't come with the original Roland power supply, be aware that the DC power supply here is 9V 600 mA and center negative polarity, as indicated by the label here. Don't blow up your new MIDI synthesizer. That would make me sad. On the back of the unit we have the RCA input that the sound canvas will mix into the output jacks right next to it. I'm only going to be connecting the output and then letting my PC do the mixing. Then we have the MIDI pass-through connection, and MIDI input and MIDI output. When you pick up one of these things these days, you'll probably need to replace or remove the CR2032 backup battery. Thankfully these rarely leak. You can open it up by removing the 5 Phillips head screws, 4 on the sides and 1 on the back. The battery is held in by a little plastic retaining clip that you'll need to lift up as you slide the battery out. Be careful not to break it. I think the plastic can come a little brittle over time. The SC-55 can operate without a backup battery if you don't have a replacement handy, and for gaming purposes, saving presets doesn't really matter. And it might also be handy to be able to reset the unit just by removing the power. For the MIDI connection, I'm using a Roland USB 1 MIDI interface. It's a little on the pricey side, around $40 Canadian, but I think it was a good buy. It supports MIDI in and out, so if one day I trip over an MT32 I can connect that as well, or try using something like MUNT. It seems pretty low latency and I haven't noticed any errors or tripping over tones in very fast pieces. That was a slight problem with the interface I bodged together with an Arduino. If you want to try the Arduino method, I've linked the plans I followed down in the description. I can't vouch for the safety of that thing though. It didn't blow up my sound canvas, and it worked fairly well, but I didn't build mine to last because I already had a cable on the way. For this gaming setup, I really only need to connect the MIDI input, but I've connected the output here as well, just to clean up the dangling cable. Using the sound canvas is simple enough. When connected to power, it's always in standby mode. Wake it up in normal mode by hitting the power button on the front, and make sure the volume knob isn't turned up to 11. If you want to test your SC-55 without computer or MIDI device connection, there are a few built-in demo songs you can use. Turn the unit off, then hold down both part arrows. Navigate with the part arrows, and then press Alt to select the song. Exit the demo mode by pressing both part arrows again to exit the menu. Connect amplified speakers to the RCA connection or use the front headphone jack. The headphone jack isn't switched though, which may be a little annoying if you're also using the RCA output on the back because there's always going to be sound going to those jacks. To switch the SC-55 into General MIDI mode, press the right part arrow while turning the unit on. Press Alt to accept or mute to cancel. For Roland GS MIDI, press the right instrument arrow while turning the unit on. To switch the sound canvas into MT32 mode, hold the left instrument button while turning on the unit. There are better emulated versions of the MT32 now, like MUNT or whatever's built into software like SCUmmVM, so you'll likely never use the MT32 mode on your sound canvas. Setting up the SC-55 to work with a Windows XP PC is fairly simple. First, install your MIDI interface and any necessary drivers. Then open up the control panel and your sound and audio device settings. In the audio tab, you can select your default MIDI audio device. So you can select your MIDI interface here. You can also lock your settings to only use this default device, but don't check this if you're also intending on using a software synthesizer. I have the SC-55's RCA output jacks connected to an RCA to 3.5mm stereo adapter, and then connected to the microphone in port on my sound card on the XP PC. Your microphone may be muted by default or have the volume set to high, so open up the sound settings and adjust things as needed. For gaming, I tend to use an old DOSBox build called DOSBox DOM, or a recent custom build of DOSBox X that works pretty well in XP. Both of these are built to support pass-through audio with the OPL chip on my sound card. But any DOSBox version will work with this though. Open up your DOSBox configuration file and find the MIDI device line. Change this line to Win32, and then next find the MIDI config and put 0 if you've selected your MIDI interface as your default and only MIDI device. If you intend on using multiple MIDI devices, Within DOSBox, type mixer/list MIDI to show you the MIDI devices and the corresponding number you'll need to use for the MIDI config value. If you've got your DOSBox status console enabled, you'll be able to see if the proper MIDI interface was detected and selected when you load up DOSBox. I'm going to zip through installing one of my favorite shareware titles, Hocus Pocus, to give this thing a test run. In the game setup, I'm going to select the sound canvas as the music device, and I'm going to tell it to use port 330 since this is what DOSBox is set up to use. The MIDI output in reality is going to be redirected through Windows. If you're using Hocus Pocus to test things like I am, the music is disabled by default in the game options, so you'll need to turn that on after running it the first time. Now I'll shut up for about 30 seconds of Hocus Pocus unattended demo mode so you can hear how things sound running through the sound canvas. Even though this is a retro PC running Windows XP, I like using SCUmmVM for all of its supported games, which as you can see by my cluttered list is a lot these days. SCUmmVM includes its own Roland MT32 emulator and supports sound fonts, so you're not missing a whole lot if you don't have a hardware synthesizer. If you do have one, however, you can select your MIDI interface in the MIDI tab of the options menu. If you use the built-in MT32 emulator, it'll take priority over general MIDI for games that support both formats, and you won't get any output to your SC-55. To change per-game options, use the Edit button on the main menu. Now that SCUmmVM is set to use the external device, I'm going to shut up again for about 30 seconds so you can watch the intro to Sierra's Quest for Glory 2 Trial by Fire. There's something about the juxtaposition of pixelated graphics and complex, sophisticated, realistic audio that I find pretty amusing right now. Connecting things to a Windows 10 PC requires a little more fiddling. First, if you're using the Roland MIDI interface, make sure the small switch on the cord itself is switched to comp. After installing the driver, download and install CoolSoft MIDI Mapper. This small application allows you to select your default MIDI device in Windows 8.1 through 10. This may be helpful if the number that DOSBox enumerates your MIDI interface to changes every time it's plugged in. To bring the audio back into my Windows 10 PC from the sound canvas, I use the analog connection on a USB digital audio interface. But if you have a sound card with an available microphone input, that'll work as well. But Windows 10 has done its damnedest to hide the option to play back microphone audio through your speakers. To find it, open Settings and then find your sound settings. Select your audio input device in the microphone settings. Then open the device properties and adjust the volume if necessary. Next, way over on the right side, hit Additional Device Properties. Then you can navigate to the Listen tab, where you can select Listen to this device to play back audio through your speakers. After hitting Apply, you do your sound. Here's a little of Lost Vikings played through DOSBox on Windows 10, first with the Sound Canvas soundtrack, then with the normal Sound Blaster soundtrack so you can hear the difference. Even though there are great sound fonts out there, I have to say I recommend picking up a hardware synth if you spot one for a decent price and enjoy the sound. There are a lot of options out there other than the SC-55, so I recommend searching the Vogon's retro computing forums to get an idea of what works great for gaming. Well, that's about all from me. Thanks for watching, and if you found this helpful, hit the thumbs up or subscribe to feed the algorithm so more people can find it. And stick around for a few more game intros played through the Roland Sound Canvas Mark II.
I'm thirsty.
I don't think you should drink that. It looks bad for you.
Nonsense. It makes me feel great. Smarter, more aggressive. I feel like I could. Like I could. Like I could. Take on the world.
Look, Hoagie, it's a hamster. Just what I need for dissection lab tomorrow.
I think I need that for the band, Laverne. You know, like we could bite its head off or whatever.
Hands off that hamster.
Friend of yours, Bernard?
He belongs to Weird Ed Edison, and it looks like he's brought us a note. It's from my old friend, Green Tentacle. He says that Purple Tentacle's mutated into an insane genius, and Dr. Fred's going to kill them both. I thought I was free of Dr. Fred and those crazy Edisons forever. But now, I know that I must go back to the mansion.
King. You really know how to show a girl a good time.
It was just dinner and a movie. How was I to know that he'd get upset?
Big Hugh's got a thing about guys dating his girl. There's not much we can do now, Joe.
Well, Rita, how about one for the road? Did you hear that?
Hear what?
Sparky?
You know him?
Don't just stand there, guys. We gotta get out of here before Big Hugh catches on. Too late. I'm one step ahead of you. Gentlemen, kill them!
Hey, watch where you put those hands, Buster.
Get them! And I want them dead. This time. That was close.
I gotta hand it to you, King. You certainly know how to end the night with a bang.
Shoot. I almost forgot. I have to pick up Faye Russell, the famous movie star, in less than 8 hours. Let's go, Sparky.
Will I ever see you again?
Only if you're lucky.
Wait here, Sparky. I'll go upstairs to get Miss Russell.
Friends? We've only gone out together 3 times, and already you're telling me you just want to be friends? You never gave me a chance, and for that, you'll fry like a pork sausage.
Not that I don't like you, it's just that, well, you're too nice a guy, I guess. I think I'd rather go out with someone more a bit unpredictable.
Hello. This doesn't look like the Lincoln Tunnel, Sam.
Looks to me like a marginally vulnerable hostage situation, Max.
Ooh, does this mean we get to kick some puffy white mad scientist butt?
Can't think of a reason not to.
You'll be of no use, freelance police. With the flip of a lever, my ungrateful lunch date will be reduced to a half cup of disoriented atomic matter.
I knew he wasn't a real doctor.
Shall I confront, subdue, and pummel the suspected perpetrator, Sam?
Sick him up, little buddy. Hey, nice one.
Yikes!
Huh?
He's not a real guy, Sam. Can I keep his head for a souvenir? Why do you suppose it's ticking?
That's no head, Max. It's one damned ugly time bomb. Let's leave this criminal cesspool pronto.
Good idea, Sam. Maybe we can ditch the head somewhere while the credits are running. You mind if I drive?
Not if you don't mind me clawing at the dash and shrieking like a cheerleader.
Sam, is pronto a real word?
Goodbye, Sam and Max. I'll never forget all you've done here today.
For my first trick, pulling the dog out of the hat. Thank you, Chippy. Now for some credits. Impressed, eh? Well, watch this. Let me try that again. The wand never fails. I'm getting the idea, and now for my next trick. Oh well, back to the old drawing board. Pretty good, huh? I'm entirely self-taught, you know. I can't believe you've watched this far. I would have skipped through it by now. I can smell burning. Hang on. Ow, ow, ooh, ow, ooh. I'd like to see you do better. I wonder if I can find a better dog in here. Wow! I didn't even have time to get a phone number. And now, for all you traditionalists, knocks them dead every time. Now for the woman again. Never mind, I like a woman with spirit. This homework is really bugging me. I think I'll find the dog and put it in the dryer again. So that's where you are. What's this? Ye oldie smell bookie. What a load of old rubbish.
Okay, Gobbers. This magic paper bring food. I thought I heard something. And a ziggy, and a zaggy, and a zongy, and a zoogie.
How do you do?
Lunchtime! Not much meat on him. Down food. Need more pepper.